Have you ever felt that bone-deep weariness that no amount of sleep seems to fix? This is not the kind of tired you get from running a marathon or lifting heavy boxes all day. This is far more insidious. This is exhaustion that settles deep in your bones, in the very marrow. It lingers long after the words have faded. It leaves you feeling hollowed out, utterly depleted. You sigh so deeply it hurts, wondering why you even bothered. This is the invisible weight of emotional arguments. It is the burden of unspoken battles. It is just trying to navigate a world that often feels like one long, draining debate. You see someone online make a sweeping generalization. Before you know it, you are typing out a detailed 5-paragraph rebuttal, complete with sources and footnotes. Or a family member makes a snide remark at dinner. Suddenly your whole body tenses, ready to launch into a defense of your life choices. You win the point. You stand your ground. Yet later, you are slumped on the couch, staring blankly at the ceiling. You are completely drained. The victory feels like ash in your mouth. You are not alone in this. Not by a long shot. So many of us silently grapple with this profound energy drain. We might shrug it off. We call it burnout or stress or just a tough week. But often it is a much more specific kind of fatigue. It is born from the constant feeling that we need to defend ourselves, to explain ourselves, or to win every single interaction. Every email, every text, every casual conversation can feel like a potential skirmish. Our internal alarm systems are constantly humming in the background. This relentless internal pressure slowly but surely siphons away our vitality. It leaves us feeling like we are operating on fumes, even without physical exertion. Here is the kicker. It is not laziness. It is the profound and cumulative toll of having your internal alarm system constantly blaring. You are not unproductive because you lack drive. Instead, you are often too depleted, too fundamentally exhausted to even begin. This is the unseen burden of navigating difficult conversations, the endless noise of social media or demanding work cultures. These cultures often reward aggression over collaboration. It can also be complex family dynamics where every exchange feels like it could erupt into a full-blown battle. Think about it. We live in a world that, despite its incredible conveniences, bombards us with more information, more opinions, and more perceived threats than any generation before us. Every notification, every news headline, every comment section is a potential trigger. Our ancient, brilliant brains are just trying to keep up. Imagine your brain has a highly sensitive internal smoke detector. It is called the amygdala. It is nestled deep inside your limbic system. This is a very old, very primal part of your brain. Its sole mission is to spot danger. Back in prehistoric times, this meant saber-toothed tigers, a rival tribe, or a sudden rustle in the bushes. Such rustles might signal a predator. The threats were clear, immediate, and usually very physical. When your amygdala spotted a tiger, it immediately signaled the alarm. Today, however, the tigers are a little different. They often manifest as a snarky email from a colleague. They could be a critical comment from a loved one, a passive-aggressive remark from your boss, or a complete stranger on the internet disagreeing with you about the most trivial thing. When your amygdala perceives these social threats, it immediately signals the alarm. This happens even though they pose absolutely no actual physical danger. It cannot differentiate between a tiger and a Twitter troll. To your amygdala, a threat is simply a threat. So what happens next? Your body prepares for a fight or flight response. Your heart races. It sends oxygenated blood to your muscles, making them tense and ready for action. Your breath quickens. Your pupils dilate, sharpening your vision for potential danger. This entire system, known as the HPA axis, floods your body with powerful stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. It is a brilliant, life-saving response. It was designed by millions of years of evolution to help you survive. But, this is a huge but, it is absolutely not designed to be triggered by everyday conversations or the constant ping of notifications. The truly exhausting problem is what happens when this internal alarm is constantly going off. It might even be subtly humming in the background. This persistent state of low-grade alert has a devastating effect on another crucial part of your brain. This is your prefrontal cortex. That is your brain's CEO. It is the sophisticated, highly evolved part responsible for logical thinking, for planning, for making thoughtful decisions, and for managing your emotions. It is where all the good, rational stuff happens. But when the amygdala is screaming, "Fire! Danger! Fight!" your prefrontal cortex gets completely sidelined. It is like trying to run a complex corporation while the fire alarm blares nonstop. The sprinklers are on and everyone is panicking. Your ability to think clearly, to respond thoughtfully, and to maintain emotional regulation all gets severely compromised. You become reactive, not responsive. You snap. You type out that angry reply. You engage in that endless debate, even though a wiser, calmer part of you knows it is utterly pointless. This constant state of low-grade or even high-grade alarm is profoundly exhausting. It drains your mental battery dry. It leaves you frayed and frazzled. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah was a project manager at a medium-sized tech company. She was truly sharp. She was dedicated and detail-oriented. She used to genuinely love her work. She thrived on the challenge of bringing complex projects to life, seeing them through from concept to completion. There was a time when she would bound out of bed, eager for the day. She looked forward to the creative problem-solving and collaborative spirit of her team. But lately, something had shifted. A creeping dread had started to settle in. It was a heavy blanket that made even the thought of her inbox feel like a physical burden. It was not the workload itself. Sarah was excellent at managing her tasks. Instead, it was the constant political maneuvering. It was the subtle digs in meetings that felt like tiny paper cuts to her confidence. It was the endless email chains where everyone seemed to be trying to win a point. They wanted to prove intellectual superiority or to shift blame. Every interaction, it seemed, was less about genuine collaboration and more about jockeying for position. One particular Tuesday, the feeling hit her with full force. It was late morning. They were in a team meeting discussing the rollout strategy for a new product. Sarah had spent weeks meticulously crafting her proposal. She anticipated potential roadblocks and designed contingency plans. She was presenting, feeling confident, when a colleague, Mark, interrupted her. "Hold on, Sarah," he said, his voice dripping with feigned concern. "I am not sure that timeline is realistic. We really cannot afford another delay, can we?" He accompanied this with a dismissive wave of his hand. Worse, he subtly eye-rolled, a gesture only Sarah seemed to catch. It was directed at another colleague who offered a sympathetic, almost apologetic shrug. This was a minor detail. It was easily resolved with a quick adjustment or clarification. But the way he did it, that tone, that gesture, it felt like a personal attack. It felt like he was not challenging the proposal, but challenging her. Sarah felt her cheeks flush. A familiar heat spread across her skin. Her heart began to pound. It was a frantic, urgent rhythm of alarm vibrating through her chest. Deep within her ancient brain, her amygdala was screaming, "Threat! Respond! Defend! Your competence is being questioned. Your reputation is on the line." She pushed back hard. She offered data points. She quoted figures from previous projects. She calmly, almost robotically, explained her rationale, her contingency plans, and her risk assessments. She engaged in a rapid-fire verbal joust. Her voice was firm, her posture rigid. She technically won the mini-debate. Mark, facing a barrage of meticulously presented facts, backed down with a mumbled, "Right, well, if you say so." The meeting moved on, but Sarah was no longer truly present. The victory, if you could call it that, felt utterly hollow. Later that evening, Sarah sat in her apartment. A heavy silence surrounded her. It used to be comforting, but now felt oppressive. The unwashed coffee mug from that morning still sat on her desk. It was a silent testament to a day where she had not found a single moment of true peace. She was physically drained. Her shoulders ached with a dull, persistent throb. Her head pounded behind her eyes. There was a heavy pressure in her chest, a kind of invisible weight. She replayed the conversation over and over in her mind. She dissected every word, every nuance, every possible alternative response. Could she have said it better? Was she too aggressive? Was she not aggressive enough? She had technically won the argument, yes, but she had lost something far more precious, a piece of her peace. She lost a significant chunk of her energy. She lost a measure of her joy. This cycle, this relentless internal combat, repeated itself not just at work, but also in her personal life. She had a family member who seemed to thrive on conflict. This person could turn any casual comment into a heated debate. Every conversation with them felt like a tightrope walk. Every disagreement was a battle she felt utterly compelled to fight. She felt compelled to justify herself, to prove her worth. Sarah was burning out. It was not from a lack of effort. It was not from a lack of drive. It was from the relentless, internal combat that chipped away at her soul day after day. Her brain's smoke detector was perpetually active. Its siren was a constant, low hum in her skull. Her CEO, her brilliant prefrontal cortex, was simply too exhausted, too depleted to lead. She was running on empty. Her well of vitality was poisoned by the constant need to engage, to defend, to win. But here is the good news. Here is the absolutely crucial news. It does not have to be this way. You do not have to live your life constantly fighting invisible battles. You do not have to constantly feel drained. It is absolutely time to reclaim that energy. It is time to stop this insidious cycle of exhaustion. This is not about being passive or avoiding confrontation entirely. That is not it at all. This is about being strategic. It is about understanding that your mental and emotional energy is finite. It is your most precious resource. You must learn how to protect it. We are going to introduce what I call the Breathe Again protocol. This is not some complicated, esoteric, spiritual practice. These three powerful tools are designed to preserve your mental and emotional energy. They will turn down that blaring internal alarm. They will finally allow your brain's CEO to step back in and lead. These tools are simple, yet profoundly effective when applied consistently. The first tool is called the observer stance. This technique is a stealthy superpower for your brain. It allows you to create a crucial psychological distance between yourself and the triggering event. Think of it as hitting the pause button, just for a moment, on that internal alarm system. When you do this, you are actively re-engaging your prefrontal cortex. This is that calm, rational CEO of your brain. It allows it to assess the situation more rationally. It allows it to actually think. It prevents your emotional amygdala from running the entire show, screaming, "Fight or flight!" You are not ignoring the feeling surging through you. Instead, you are simply observing it. Think of watching a cloud pass by in the sky. Acknowledge its presence without getting swept away. This tiny, powerful pause breaks that immediate reactive loop. This loop so often leads to exhaustion and regret. It is the first step in reclaiming control. How to do it tonight. The very next time you feel that familiar surge of defensiveness or irritation or outright anger during a conversation, try this. This also applies when you are reading a comment online that rubs you the wrong way. Physically lean back if you can, even just an inch. Take a deep, slow breath. Let it fill your lungs, then release it slowly. As you do this, mentally say to yourself, "Interesting. I observe this feeling in my body right now. I observe these words that are being said or typed." You are not engaging, you are not judging, you are simply acknowledging. You are simply acknowledging. This small act creates a critical space, a tiny window of opportunity. It allows your internal alarm to quiet down just enough for you to choose your response, rather than merely reacting on autopilot. Imagine the future. In the best case scenario, consistently practicing the observer stance will develop a powerful inner calm. You will find yourself less prone to emotional outbursts. You will be less likely to get drawn into pointless arguments. Your energy levels will stabilize dramatically. Your CEO will be firmly in control, making thoughtful decisions that serve your long-term peace. You will still feel emotions, of course, but you will experience them without being consumed by them. In the worst-case scenario, if you continue to let your amygdala run unchecked, you will constantly react to every perceived threat. You will find yourself perpetually exhausted, emotionally volatile, and increasingly cynical about interactions. Your relationships will suffer. Your sense of personal agency will dwindle. The observer stance is your first line of defense against this energy drain. The second tool is energy audit and allocation. This is about treating your mental and emotional energy like the finite, precious resource it truly is. Not every challenge, every critical comment, or every minor disagreement deserves your full mental and emotional tank. You would not spend your entire life savings on a trivial impulse purchase. Similarly, you should not and cannot afford to spend your entire energy reserves on every perceived slight or every pointless debate that comes your way. This tool helps you consciously decide where to invest your valuable energy. It prevents it from leaking away, drip by painful drip, on interactions that do not truly matter to your long-term well-being, your core values, or your important goals. It is about setting internal boundaries. It is a protective shield around your inner world. How to do it tonight. Before you jump into a response, especially to a potentially draining text message, an inflammatory email, or a provocative social media comment, pause. Take that breath. Then, ask yourself two crucial questions. Will engaging fully here truly serve my long-term peace or my important relationships, or will it just deplete me further? Be brutally honest with yourself. If the answer is depletion, then choose a minimal response, or better yet, choose no response at all. You can even mentally categorize certain comments or people as not worth your energy. Some battles are simply not yours to fight. Choosing not to engage is one of the most powerful and liberating acts of self-preservation you can perform. Consider the future if you master this. In the best case scenario, through diligent energy audit and allocation, you will become incredibly discerning. You will wisely choose where your precious vitality goes. You will develop a keen sense of what truly merits your attention and what can be gracefully let go. This will free up immense mental and emotional bandwidth. You can then use it for activities, people, and causes that genuinely nourish you. Your productivity will improve, not because you are working harder, but because you are working smarter with your energy. In the worst case scenario, without this conscious allocation, you will continue to bleed energy into every perceived conflict. This will leave you constantly depleted. You will be perpetually playing catch-up. You will feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of noise in your life. You will be a reactive rather than a proactive participant in your own existence. This tool is your budget. It is the guardian of your most valuable currency. And the third tool is the gentle redirect. This technique is pure conversational finesse. It allows you to shift the dynamics of a potentially escalating or draining conversation. It does this without conceding your point. It does it without being dismissive of the other person. Crucially, it does it without further inflaming the situation. It is a brilliant way to assert your need for space and calm. It also preserves the relationship, if that is your goal. The beauty of the gentle redirect is that it sets a boundary on the process of the conversation, not necessarily its content. You are saying, I am willing to discuss this, but not in this escalating, energy-draining way right now. It is about valuing your peace over proving a point in the heat of the moment. How to do it tonight? Practice a few phrases you can use when you feel the conversation spiraling into an energy-draining argument. This also applies when you feel that familiar internal alarm start to blare. These phrases are not meant to shut down dialogue, but to recalibrate it. For example, you could say, I hear your perspective, and I need a moment to process this before I can respond thoughtfully. This buys you time and acknowledges their input. Or try, my goal here is not to win an argument. It is to find understanding. Right now, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Can we revisit this later when we are both feeling calmer? This states your intention and your current emotional state. Or even simply, that is an interesting point, but I am going to shift focus for now. This is a clear boundary. These gentle redirects acknowledge the other person. They clearly prioritize your own emotional capacity. It is about stating your needs calmly, firmly, and respectfully. Imagine the future with the gentle redirect. In the best case scenario, you will transform draining conversations into manageable discussions. You may even prevent them entirely. You will feel empowered. You will know you have the tools to protect your peace without sacrificing your voice. Your relationships, especially with those who tend to be conflict-driven, will improve. You will be modeling healthier communication. You are teaching others how to interact with you in a way that respects your boundaries. In the worst-case scenario, without this tool, you will continue to be dragged into every argument. You will feel like a puppet on strings. Resentments will build, eroding the very fabric of your relationships and your internal peace. This tool is your navigational system for tricky waters. Remember Sarah? After consistently applying these tools, she started to feel a profound shift. The heavy silence in her apartment began to feel peaceful, not draining. The unwashed mugs still sometimes appeared, of course, because life happens. But she no longer dwelled on them. She stopped replaying every minute detail of every argument. She realized that her greatest strength was not in winning every verbal sparring match. Her strength was in guarding her inner sanctuary. At work, when Mark tried his dismissive tone again, Sarah consciously leaned back. She took a deep breath. She thought, interesting. I observed the urge to defend. She then calmly responded, Mark, I appreciate your concern about the timeline. My proposal accounts for X, Y, and Z contingencies. If you have specific data that suggests otherwise, I am open to reviewing it. Otherwise, let us move forward. She did not engage in the emotional game. She presented facts and set a boundary. With her conflict-prone family member, she started to use redirects. She stopped getting drawn into a debate about her life choices. She would say, "I hear your perspective on that, and I appreciate your thoughts, but I am not looking to debate it right now. I am simply sharing this news with you." Or, "My goal for our conversation today is to enjoy each other's company. It is not to discuss that particular topic. Can we focus on something else?" The initial reactions were sometimes surprise, sometimes even a little pushback, but Sarah held firm, calmly. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the dynamics began to change. This is not about being weak or avoiding conflict entirely. There are times when conflict is necessary. There are times when you must stand up for yourself or for what is right. This is about choosing your battles wisely. It is about understanding that your mental and emotional energy is finite. It is your most precious resource. True strength is not always about how hard you fight. Sometimes it is about how wisely you conserve your energy. It is about how strategically you protect your peace. By embracing this Breathe Again protocol, you are not just changing how you argue, you are changing who you are. You are shifting your identity. You move from someone who feels compelled to win every point. You become someone who values their inner calm, their peace, and their vitality above all else. This is a profound act of self-love. It is a declaration that your well-being matters more than any fleeting victory. So, breathe again. Reclaim your energy. Reclaim your peace. If you found this discussion helpful, please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more insights into navigating your world with greater peace and power.